In this episode, we're going to be talking a little Sigmund Freud, specifically looking at the id, ego, and superego, central tenets of psychoanalytical theory. First up, we're going to talk a little bit about the id. This is the personality structure that contains basic instinctual drive, our libido, aggression, all those things that are maybe kind of like lizard brain-esque type parts of our unconsciousness comes from this area. I like to think of it as the wild child in this three-part scenario. But it's very gratification seeking and just desire seeking, and really works from a place of just impulse. Now, if the id is the wild child, the ego is definitely the buzz killer. This part of our unconsciousness looks to figure out how we can attain some of these things that it is pushing toward in a way that's a little bit more socially acceptable, a little bit more realistic. This is the part of you that's going to postpone satisfaction, just to avoid negative consequences, oftentimes societal negative consequences. So, it really kind of comes in there and puts the brake on the wild child, the id. Finally, you have the superego. It's funny, whenever I think of this one, I can't help thinking of Superman. Um, you know, this is all about values and morals. And I think of like Superman upholding values and morals, flying around with his red cape flapping. Um, this develops around age 5. In psychoanalytics, this would be kind of like the phallic stage, psychosexual development. So the superego functions to control the id's impulses, especially those society forbids, such as sex and aggression. It also aims to persuade the ego to turn to moralistic goals rather than simply realistic ones and strive for perfection. Okay, let's go over some questions that might come up on a test based on these. Question 1, what part of the personality is responsible for dealing with reality? Id, ego, superego, or libido? This is going to be the ego. So ego operates according to reality principle, makes decisions that consider the real world around them, unlike the id, which operates based on desire, or the superego that is all about morals and values. Remember Superman. Question number 2, which part of the personality structure acts as a moral compass? Ego, id, superego, or instinct? Again, morals, moral values, Superman, superego. The superego incorporates moral standings. All right, last question. The id is governed by which of the following principles? Reality principle, morality principle, pleasure principle, or rationality principle? Remember that id is the wild child. So it is pleasure seeking. So pleasure principles would be the answer to this one. That id wants immediate gratification. It acts on urges. It acts on impulse. Just remember. Let's also do one more quick acronym just to help you memorize these concepts. The acronym for this one is going to be PIE, P-I-E. The P in this stands for pleasure. It operates on a pleasure principle. The I, intermediary, ego acts as an intermediary between the id and reality. And the E is for ethics. Superego embodies the moral standings. So think of Sigmund Freud eating a big piece of pie, and you can go from there with that. Pretty short episode, but also some pretty simple concepts. Just wanted to make sure I touched upon them because it's something that I know often comes up on the test. Thank you for listening. As always, keep on studying.